to get back to the band, then we had guests like Kristen Mooney came in and sang, and Karen Paris, who you've worked with just recently. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of, I think Jim Ryberg came in and did some B3 stuff because he always had such great B3 chops and gear. I hadn't really networked through too many of the players in Minneapolis yet at this time, other than in the African-American community. I knew better than a lot of the other players. So I was still meeting people.
Was Scott Foltz, he was a heavy jazz scene guy at the time.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that they heard him play recently. He's just killing it, Great player.
I feel like I saw him with Alden Ikeda, like backing up every jazz guy that came through town
He was super busy for a long time. Yeah. Those people I just mentioned, we were on tour. That was the group that went on tour when we started the college thing. And you're driving with the van and the trailer, and you're, town after town. And then it started to morph because some people didn't want to go out on the road. Al decided to move to LA, and then that opened the door for other players. And as a band leader, as you know, you got to have a couple of 2 or 3 bass players that are at the top of their game, 2 or 3 drummers at the top of their game. That was always the hardest seat for me to replace because Kirk's grooves were so personalized that other cats would come and they'd say, I want the gig. I want to go out with you for 3 weeks. And I'd go, you didn't study, man. And we're talking some great players. But if I didn't feel like I could really vibe and connect with them, I wouldn't hire them. And,
you need a deep bench.
Well, and then the next thing you know, they're out on the road with somebody super famous. And it's like, they were going to play with me, but, I wasn't feeling it. So then I didn't, it's a vibey, it's an intuitive vibey thing, isn't it? Picking the people that you're going to be on the road with. And there's a certain disposition that's really helpful on the road. And if you don't have it, you should stay home.
Absolutely. I feel like, the extremes are you can't be away from your family right now, maybe health issues, maybe emotional issues. And then the other one is the attractions of the road, the vagabond lifestyle, the booze and constantly being in bars. And
there is one other thing, though, that I missed the most when I first started having issues, and I couldn't tour with my hand and stuff. What I missed was that you'd create these little families in these different towns. It took years to do it. And I can still go through and tell you who if I were to play in Detroit, I know I'd want to see JB Davies and that crowd. If I was going to play out on the West Coast, I could go through, and some of those people aren't even in those towns anymore. But what I looked forward to the most about the touring was, I'm going to catch up with all my friends in Mobile, Alabama. I'm going to catch up with all my friends in Chicago and then in Philly. And, you're right. It's vagabond. But for me, it became a reality. It was because I was doing 250 dates a year for years. That's a lot of dates.
That's a ton of work.
Yeah,
Damn.
I know. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, if I had a chance to get back out and do it again, as the entertainment industry opens back up and opportunities start arising again, if I could find a way to afford it, because I don't think I'd pay. Then, the acoustic guitar thing is what most people know me for. It's a niche that even at the top of that niche, it's still a small niche.